Welcome to the CondoVultures.com podcast with your host, Peter Zalewski, a Miami real estate broker, Wall Street consultant, and expert witness. This podcast is focused on identifying real estate buying opportunities in the South Florida condo market of Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach counties. The CondoVultures.com podcast is not authorized by the South Florida real estate industry and will most likely annoy many of the region's talking heads. This podcast will feature straight talk and salty language that could be offensive to some. Please remember that past investment success does not determine future gains, especially in South Florida's volatile condo market. For more information, please visit CondoVultures.com.
Welcome to Miami Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm your host, Peter Zalewski. I have a company called Condo Vultures. Condo Vultures provides consultancy services, including expert witness work, as well as a separate entity that has a brokerage, buy-side brokerage. So if you're a buyer looking to purchase a condo in the Tri-County, South Florida area, primarily east of Interstate 95, give us a call. Let's see if maybe we can help you out. But welcome to our podcast. This particular podcast is a market report. We're going to take a look at a particular marketplace in the Tri-County, South Florida region, give you an idea what's going on with condos, luxury condos, distressed condos, as well as the rental market. For this particular podcast, we're going to be focusing on that little sliver of area known as Bal Harbour-Surfside and Bay Harbor Islands. Effectively, it's a trio of municipalities that's located with Miami Beach to the south, and to the north is going to be Sunny House Beach. If you want to find it on a map, real simple. Look at 87 Terrace. That'll the southern boundary will effectively be the site where the Champagne Tower South was. That was a tower that collapsed a little bit over a year ago, that disaster. So that would be the southern boundary. Northern boundary is going to be a haulover beach inlet that is effectively going to be about 103rd Street to the north. Then the eastern boundary will be the Atlantic Ocean. Western boundary is going to be the Broad Causeway. These three little municipalities, again, Bal Harbour to the north, Surfside to the south, in Bay Harbor Islands to the west, together, they're going to represent what we call the Bal Harbour-Surfside Bay Harbor Islands area. Now, for this particular podcast, we're going to break it down into four different segments, as mentioned: condos, luxury condos, distressed condos, and then finally the rental market. A couple things to keep in mind before we take our first commercial break. And get it. All of our data is coming from the Multiple Listing Service. Multiple Listing Service is a database that people who are members of the club called the Realtor Association are able to use this database to go ahead and market properties for sale, as well as find properties that are for sale. This does not include any and all properties that are transacting and are available in this Tri-County area, but simply those in which a realtor is involved. Again, someone with a real estate license joins a club called the Realtor Association. They therefore become known as a realtor. This will not include the statistics. We're not going to include those properties that are listed or for sale by owner. Also will not include those properties that basically are sold to groups that put up signs on the side of the highway that say, "We buy ugly houses." And finally, it's not going to include those big rental complexes, whether they're 200, 300, 400 unit buildings. They have signs on the front that say "for rent" and they list a telephone number, and or there's maybe somebody outside flipping the sign, trying to get you to stop by as you're driving to come in, get some information, and ultimately sign a lease. So none of that information will be included in it. Why do people use the MLS? They use this simply because it's simple. It's easy, quick way to get a handle of what's going on in the marketplace. But again, it does not include all the information. The other thing I would mention about the Multiple Listing Service is the information is entered by someone within a brokerage, someone who has works for a company that has a real estate license, does listings, and therefore all the information that is input, there is a potential and the possibility for errors to occur. So if you want to check your statistics, you want to make sure that what you're really, or the information you're trading on is actually accurate. Only way to do that is to go to government records. And the way you do that is you go to the clerk of the court in the Tri-County, South Florida area. You pull up the deeds and you take a look at what's going on. Now, on the rental side, I will tell you, rental information is going to be sketchy. Why is that? There is no document that's recorded with any of the governments, any of the clerks of the court. Therefore, all of the information that's input is, for the most part, hearsay. And I bring this up to your attention simply because a lot of times rental information will come out. There'll be stories about trends in the rental game. And for the most part, that information is pretty much the equivalent of licking your finger, holding it up, and trying to figure out which way the wind is blowing, because there is no way to defend any of the information that's out there. It's for the most part, as I mentioned, hearsay. couple things in terms of administratively. If you want to watch this podcast, many people listen to it in the on the traditional platforms, whether it be the Apple Podcast or Google Play or anything like that. If you actually want to watch the podcast, we're shooting it in video. So simply go to a platform that allows and permits for video podcasting. Websites such as Spotify. If you want to watch this on YouTube, our handle is Condo Vultures TV. Condo Vultures TV. To check that out. And also, too, if you have any questions, if you have any comments for us, please send an email to inquiry@condovultures.com, inquiry@condovultures.com. We're going to take a commercial break. After the break, we're going to get into what's going on in the condo market in the Bal Harbour-Surfside-Bay Harbor Islands area.
It's a simple formula, and it works. Buy low, sell high. We're Condo Vultures, and when it comes to your real estate, we help you buy low. At Condo Vultures, we represent the buyer, and now's the time to buy. Log on to condovultures.com for more information. Condovultures.com. And remember, before you sell high, you have to buy low. Featured in the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, 60 Minutes, and Time Magazine. Condo Vultures Realty, a licensed Florida real estate brokerage capitalizing on the condo correction since 2006.
Welcome back to the Miami Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm your host, Peter Zalewski of Condo Vultures. This particular segment of our podcast, we're going to get into the condo market in Bal Harbour-Surfside-Bay Harbor Islands. This will include old condos, those beat up ones built in the 1960s and 70s. It'll include over 55 condos. Those are condo communities where someone, in order to buy, the majority has to be at least the age 55. It also includes some of these luxury condos that have gone up, whether it's the St. Regis, the Fendi, or anything else like that. So this is the overall condo perspective in Bal Harbour-Surfside-Bay Harbor Islands. We have just under 250 condos for sale, 250 condos for sale. The average asking price, just under $3.1 million a door, $3.1 million a door. And the asking price per square foot, $12.71 a foot, $12.71 a foot. If you've seen any of our podcasts, this is going to be a repeat to you in terms of the price per square foot. That's actually what you want to focus on when you're dealing with condominiums. Why? Because condos are commodities. Houses are works of art. Condos are commodities. Now, how do I come to that conclusion? Pretty simple. You go into a condo building, for the most part, all of the units in a line, whether it's 01 line, 02 line, 03 line, 09 line, all of the layouts are going to be virtually the same. They usually be the same except for height, the way you overcome or you factor in height. You simply add more money or you take away money, the higher or lower you go in a building. When I work with developers who are trying to figure out pricing, typically we go $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 per floor. That is the variation that is applied in terms of pricing when you first sell the buildings during the pre-construction cycle. But all the condos are virtually the same, except that if you get into a higher floor where sometimes there's a penthouse, which will include taller ceilings, if you will. The only other exception would be some of the units that are going to be located on the facade of the parking garage. You're not really going to get into too much of it in Bal Harbour, Bay Harbor, Surfside, but that's something to sort of keep in mind. Now, compare that to single-family houses. Single-family houses within a community, it can be located in a different part of the community. It can be located on a different size lot, different shape lot. It could be 1 stories. It could be 2 stories. It could be 3 stories. It could have fantastic trees. It could have some sort of issues in the front in terms of the common areas. So there's a whole variety of factors that come into play when you're dealing with a single family house, which makes it a work of art. Versus a condo, you virtually don't even need to visit the condo other than to make sure that it actually exists. Given the fact where in South Florida, there's a lot of fraud. That would probably be your only reason to actually visit a condo, because any changes or upgrades that many developers or individual buyers put into them, many times they will not get not get their money back out of it. So it's a commodity the same way when you pull up to an intersection, there's 3 or 4 gas stations. Chances are, unless you have some sort of rewards program, affiliation or affinity, chances are you're going to go to the lowest price per gallon. Well, think of condos the exact same way. So price per square foot is much more important than price per door when it comes to condos. And in Bal Harbour-Surfside-Bay Harbor Islands, the average asking price is $1,271 a foot, $1,271 per square foot. Number of days on the market for those condos that are for sale, 178 days, 178 days. Now, let's get into pending sales. 28 condos are for sale and under contract in Bal Harbour-Surfside-Bay Harbor Islands. Average asking price of those condos when they went under contract, $2.3 million a door, $2.3 million a door, or $1,029 a square foot, 1,029 per square foot. And days on market for these condos that are pending and under contract right now, 78 days, 78 days. And then finally, first 9 months of 2022, keep in mind, we're going to come out with our final 2022 statistics. We'll come out with it in late February. Why do we do that? Well, much of the information is still processed in January. And by the time it all sort of works its way through the system, it tends to be late, roughly a month later or so. So just try to be all encompassing. We typically wait until the middle to the end of the month following a quarter. So you have 396 condos traded in the first 9 months of 2022. Average transaction price just under $1.9 million a door, $1.9 million a door. And the most important point, price per square foot, $855 a foot, $855 per square foot for any of the condos that traded at Bal Harbour-Surfside-Bay Harbor Island. And in terms of number of days from the point it was listed to when it went under contract and it ultimately closed was 114 days. I will bring that to your attention because it's a great telltale sign as to what's going on in the market. The condos that are appropriately priced, they close within an average. They're listed under contract and closed within an average of 114 days. Those condos that are on the market today, they've been sitting there 178 days counting. Keep in mind, once a unit typically goes under contract, it's going to be at least 30, maybe 45 to 60 days till the time it closes. So 178 days on the market for those that are available today versus the ones that are appropriately priced. They moved in 114 days. Now, when you're trying to figure out pricing, a good way to do it or an effective way to do it is look at what is the average price of a market or a building. What does something trade for? And then you look at what are things listed for and you try to compare the two. And what we found over the course of years, and I've had this business since 2006, what we found is typically when there's about a 20% premium or spread that's applied to the average asking price compared to the average transaction price, you start to see some people who are interested. Why is that? That's some of the fat that the seller thinks that ultimately they're going to be able to get, or something they're going to give up in the course of negotiations. Now, once that 20% spread, again, average transaction price in average asking price, once it starts to get squeezed to about 20%, you tend to see a deal done. It's somewhere in that 8 to 12% range. Some might go as much as 15%, but generally speaking, 8 to 12%, you tend to get a deal done. So it's important to kind of look at what are sellers asking versus what things are trading for. And in Bal Harbour-Surfside-Bay Harbor Island, we have a 64% spread price per door, 64% spread. So that's about 3 times more than it should be in order to get activity. Now on a price per square foot basis, 47% spread, 47% spread. So more than 2 times effectively what it should be. And then in terms of units that are trading per month, the velocity, the churn, if you will, in condo sales in Bal Harbour, Bay Harbor, Surfside in the first 9 months of the year, we got about 44 condos trading per month. How did I get that? I took the total number of condo sales in the first 9 months of the year, which is 396. I divided it by 9 and I come up with the average of 44 units per month. Now, if I take this sales pace of 44 units per month, I apply it to what's currently on the market, which is just under 250 condos. I come up with 5.7 months of supply, 5.7 months of supply. Now, why is this number important? Simple. Equilibrium is 6 months. Anything less than 6 months suggests that it is a seller's market. Anything more suggests it's a buyer's market. So what we're seeing here in Bal Harbour-Surfside-Bay Harbor Island is that we are very close to equilibrium, and that suggests that as we go forward, look for some softening to occur in this marketplace. Why am I coming to that conclusion? Ultimately, I'm looking at the days on market. Again, the average number of days on market for a condo for sale is 178, while those that traded, they traded in 114 days. And also, what is the spread between the average transaction price per square foot and the average asking price? And that's 49% on a price per square foot basis. All of these are indicators that you're looking for probably price weakening or a decrease as we go forward and we run the statistics in this area of Bal Harbour-Surfside-Bay Harbor Island. We're going to take a commercial break. Other side of the break, we're going to get into luxury condos.
This is Peter Zalewski of the Condo Vultures podcast. I hope you're enjoying the podcast. And I wanted to alert you that if you have a property that you're looking to sell in the Tri-County, South Florida area, I would encourage you to reach out to Jenny Cortez, a licensed real estate broker with cvrrealty.com. She's my partner. She's been in the business for north of 15 years. More importantly, she knows the market. She knows how to get a deal done. And she also realizes that it's more important to get a price that you can accept and sell the property rather than to hold firm on some price that's never going to be achieved and ultimately languish on the market. So if you're looking to do a deal that you want a skilled expert who can help you sell a property, reach out to Jenny Cortez at 5859, 305-865-5859, or visit her website, tvrrealty.com.
Welcome back to the Miami Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm your host, Peter Zalewski from Condo Vultures. This particular segment of the podcast, we're going to focus on luxury condos. Now, if you are new to South Florida, or if you've been here quite some time, a word you're going to hear all the time is luxury. Luxury, luxury, luxury. Why is it luxury and why is it used so often? Simply because it's a generic type of term that nobody can really define. And also to many people in the real estate industry, if not all of them, are in the business of making money off of a transaction price. So if something sells for more, therefore they're going to make more money. And compare that to our firm, which focuses on the buy side. We will make a percentage based on something trading, but our goal and objective is to try to get a cheaper price and therefore harness or corral the buyers so we can then go ahead and take advantage of some of this rational exuberance. So what's going on in terms of luxury? Luxury is defined by us because we wanted to pull the statistics. We wanted to give a sense to define luxury from things that are not luxurious. We made an arbitrary decision that there never would be $1 million. So anything listed for $1 million or more, we are going to deem it to be luxury. Anything for sale or sold for $999,999, we're going to say it's not luxurious. It's standard, if you will. So $1 million will be our cutoff, and it's simply an arbitrary number again that we pulled out. And that's how we look at things. Why? Because everybody has a different definition of luxury, which is a very generic type of term. So what's going on in the luxury market? Again, $1 million or more in Bal Harbour-Surfside-Bay Harbor Island. We have 128 luxury condos for sale. Average asking price per door, $5.3 million, $5.3 million. Average price per square foot, $19.03 a foot, $19.03 a foot for luxury condos in Bal Harbour-Surfside-Bay Harbor Islands. And the number of days on the market on average, 199 days in counting, 199 days in counting. Now, what about pending sales for luxury condos? 15 pending sales. Average ask, $3.8 million a door, $3.8 million a door. Average price per square foot of those that are under contract and pending, $1,469, $1,469 days on market for those that are pending, 94 days. So the pendings were on the market and went under contract and are waiting close so far only 94 days. And then in terms of the first 9 months of the year, how many condos traded in Bal Harbour-Surfside-Bay Harbor Islands? 142 transactions at an average price of $4.2 million a door, $4.2 million a door. And then finally, price per square foot, $1,519 a foot, $1,519 a foot. In days on market, 147. So let's compare and contrast. 147 days is how long it took for those luxury condos that traded the first 9 months of the year in Bal Harbour-Surfside-Bay Harbor Islands to close. Compare that to those condos that are on the market today. They've been there 199 days and counting. So you can see that the buyers aren't necessarily moving with the same optimism that you're seeing the sellers in terms of their asking price. Speaking of asking price, what's the difference price per door between the average ask and the average transaction price? 27%. As mentioned, 20% is ideally we'd start to see some activity. 8 to 12% is typically when you get a deal done. So you can see that pricing is still too high on a price per door basis in Bal Harbour-Surfside-Bay Harbor Island for those condos that are on the market. Now, what is it? Price per square foot? About 25% difference, 25% difference. Again, a little bit too high. Suggests maybe that there might be some movement, but it's still too high to sell a luxury condo in Bal Harbour-Surfside-Bay Harbor Islands. Now, average number of condos trading per month, first 9 months of the year in that area, just under 16 luxury condos. So if I take that how do I come up with 16 luxury condos trading per month? I take the total number of sales, which is 142. I divide it by 9. That's where I come up with my 16. Now, this will give us a great indication of what's going on with the supply. If I take the average number of sales per month of luxury condos, I divide it on what's on the market today, I'm going to come up with 8.1 months of supply, 8.1 months of supply. Equilibrium is 6 months, less than 6 months, a seller's market, more than 6 months, a buyer's market. So the luxury condo market at Bal Harbour, Bay Harbor, Surfside is coming in at basically a buyer's market. Now, some luxury brokers out there might say, well, somebody's selling a luxury product, has more money than God. They don't need to sell. They're only going to sell if the price is right. They'll say that it will take 12 to 18 months in terms of sell a property. Therefore, equilibrium should really be that. So if you go by the traditional rule of thumb of 6 months, this is going to be a buyer's market for luxury condos. If you go by the luxury broker's perspective, who again work on the sell side, make money based on the price they can get. In fact, the higher the price, the more money they make. They're going to say it's 12 to 18 months. Take it for what you will, but the rule of thumb would suggest that Bay Harbor, Surfside, Bal Harbour marketplace is a buyer's market for luxury condos. We'll take a commercial break. Other side of the break, we're getting into the distressed properties market in Bal Harbour-Surfside-Bay Harbor Islands.
This is Peter Zalewski of the Condo Vultures podcast. Before I started doing these podcasts, I was in the business of being a licensed real estate broker, a contributing columnist for the Miami Herald, as well as the Miami Real Deal, but also extra witness work in consulting. So if you are looking for an expert witness, or if you're looking for consulting services, a straight talk perspective as to what's going on in a particular marketplace, a building, or what happened previously, for whatever your situation is, whether you are an attorney, whether you are a institutional fund looking to invest, or whether you're a lender who's trying to come up with some sort of a strategy and approach for your lending committee going forward, I just might be able to help you. To get a hold of me, please reach out to peter@condovultures.com. That's peter@condovultures.com, or give me a call to the office at 305-865-5859, 305-865-5859.
Welcome back to the Miami Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm your host, Peter Zalewski from Condo Vultures. You want to check out our information for this particular podcast, go to condovulturesrealty.com, condovulturesrealty.com. There you will see a link for market intelligence and all of the data that we're referring to. It's all going to be, all the charts are going to be listed there. Additionally, we're going to include links in the description of this podcast, so you can go ahead and pull up each specific chart if that's what you want. If you actually watch the video podcast, you're going to see the charts embedded into the video. So for this segment, we're going to talk about the distressed condo market as to what's listed in the multiple listing service. What is distress? Distress basically falls into two categories. You have the pre-foreclosure, which will come out in the form of a short sale. And then you have the foreclosure, which comes out after the court process, and something known as a real estate owned, an REO, or a bank owned. So again, real quickly, short sale is the property is still owned by that borrower, and a bank owned, or an REO, is a property in which the bank or the lender is taking possession of it, and the person who owned it and borrowed basically has been pushed out through the legal process. Now, keep in mind, a short sale is a preemptive or a proactive attempt for a seller/borrower to unload a property before going through foreclosure. Foreclosure is going to take 9 to 12 months or so. It will cost thousands of dollars. And depending on who the borrower is, that borrower may damage the property, destroy it, strip things out like they did during the Great Recession, or they might simply work with the bank and hand it over in a nice way. Why would they do that? Because ultimately the lender, if they come up short of being repaid what they're owed, they're going to have the ability to go ahead and sue that particular borrower to try to reclaim any money that was lost. Now, I'm not an attorney. I'd encourage you to check this information out with your attorney, but that's generally the way it's described on the street. So short sale, a borrower/seller is coming up short of repaying the lender how much is owed. And why would that happen? Because of market decreases, because of drops in pricing. Now, a property in which a short sale does not occur, and someone stops paying their loan or their mortgage, that ultimately forces the bank to go forward, file a foreclosure notice, which would be a lis pendens, which is the first step, goes through the 9 to 12 month process. At the end of the day, when the property comes out on the other side of the court process, that will be called an REO, which stands for real estate owned, or called a bank owned, or it'll actually be called a foreclosure. So short sale, come up short of repaying the loan, try to do it preemptively or proactively. Foreclosure, after the fact type of transaction where the bank takes title to the property and then tries to unload it. So what do we got going on in the distressed market in Bal Harbour-Surfside-Bay Harbor Island? Well, right now we only have one property available for sale, How many pending sales? Zero. How many transactions occurred for distressed condos in Bal Harbour-Surfside-Bay Harbor Island in first 9 months of the year? Three, grand total of 3. So if I take the 3 that trade in the first 9 months of the year, divided by 9, I come up with 0.3 distressed condos trading per month in the area of Bal Harbour-Surfside-Bay Harbor Island. I take that average sales space, I divide it what's on the market today, which is going to be 1. I'm going to come up with 3.3 months of supply, which would indicate and suggest that this is a seller's market. You typically have a seller's market in the distress area. Why? Because many of the properties, or a majority of the properties that will be put on the market, are going to be bank owns or REOs. Again, one and the same. And typically a bank, much like anyone who's selling a product, they don't want to flood the market with too much product. Therefore, they'll do a slow release in order to try to bolster pricing. Now, let's get into what is going on in the short sale side, and then we'll get into the real estate owned side / REO side. So what's going on in the short sale market in Bal Harbour-Surfside-Bay Harbor Island? No condos are listed for sale in that area. No condos. How many are pending? Zero. Zero are pending. And how many units trade first 9 months of the year? Only one. But that short sale that did trade, it traded for only $224,000 per door. $224 per door. What did it trade for price per square foot? $176 a foot. $176 a foot. How long did it take? 213 days. 213 days. So you can see, or you can hear that from what I'm discussing. If you have the patience to play out a short sale, chances are you could get yourself a fantastic price, but this property took 213 days to trade. However, it traded for $176 a foot, which is a tiny fraction of the average transaction price in Bal Harbour-Surfside-Bay Harbor Island marketplace. Now, that one particular sale that occurred in for short sales, if you take that one sale, you divide it by 9 months, you're going to get 0.1 units trading per month. It's not really a market, but just to give you the, be consistent with the statistics. And then in terms of that short sale, that sales space is 0.1. If I divide that into 0 properties for sale, it's not applicable. So the short sale market is very limited in Bal Harbour-Surfside-Bay Harbor Islands at this particular time. Now let's transition. Let's take a look at the foreclosures, which are also known as real estate owned, REO, or bank owned, as previously mentioned. In the REO market in Bal Harbour-Surfside-Bay Harbor Island, we only have one for sale. However, that one that's for sale, this is a property owned by the bank. Bank took title to it. What's the asking price for it? $2.2 million. $2.2 million for a bank owned. So these are not your little mom and pops that maybe got wiped out because of COVID or health or divorce or anything else. This is a luxury unit that the bank has taken back and now is trying to recoup some of the money it lost on it. So $2.2 million is the ask price for that one unit, REO unit that's for sale. What is it? Price per square foot? $1,092 a foot. $1,092 a foot. How long has it been on the market? 17 days. 17 days for that luxury condo that's for sale in Bal Harbour-Surfside-Bay Harbor Island. It is a bank owned. Now, what about pendings? Zero pending sales. How many transactions occurred first 9 months of the year for an REO in Bal Harbour-Bay Harbor Islands and Surfside? Two traded. Average transaction price, $572, $450 a door. $572, $450 a door. Price per square foot, $508 a foot. $508 a foot. And how long did it take for the property to move through the process, which is listing, pending, and ultimately closed? 27 days. 27 days. So you can see if a property is appropriately priced, especially in REO, chances are it's going to move relatively quickly. Now, what is the spread between the average transaction price and the average price per door for those REOs that are on the market? Again, keeping in mind, there's only one for sale and only 2 traded first 9 months of the year. So not really a market, but just to give you a comparison, 276% difference, 276% difference. What is the price per square foot? About 115% different, 115% different. On a price per square foot basis, $1,092 again was the asking price for that one REO. And those that traded, they traded at $508. And then again, looking at days on market, the REO that's on the market today, it's been there 17 days. The one that traded, or the 2 that traded thus far, first 9 months of the year, traded in 27 days. And then finally, average number of REO transactions per month in Bal Harbour-Surfside-Bay Harbor Islands. I simply take those 2 units that traded, divided by 9. I'm going to come up with 0.2 units trading per month. Take that 0.2, divided on what's on the market, which is 1. I'm coming up with 4.5 months supply, which would suggest, again, not really a marketplace, but to give you the statistics and to keep it standardized, it's going to suggest that this is a seller's market for distressed condos in Bal Harbour-Surfside-Bay Harbor Islands. We're going to take a commercial break, then we're going to get into the rental market.
Don't buy a South Florida condo, discounted or distressed, before taking a Condo Vultures correction tour. CondoVultures.com offers weekly bus and walking tours that focus on educating buyers on the how-tos of identifying discounted condos, analyzing the opportunities, and purchasing units. Every tour attendee receives a list of all condo projects in a particular market, a market assessment handout, and unmatched expert analysis. For more information on the condo correction tours, please visit CondoVultures.eventbrite.com.
Welcome back to the Miami Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm your host, Peter Zalewski from Condo Vultures. Now, many people come to South Florida to buy a place, and they buy it maybe as a primary residence, or they buy it as a second home. Some of them want to turn around and try to rent it. Not everybody does. But it's always important, in my opinion, to have an idea of what's going on in the rental market, just in case something changes. Maybe there's a change in career. Maybe there's a change in health. Maybe there's a change in family status. Any and all of that could ultimately impact and affect someone's ability to, or someone's plan for a particular property. So it's important, in my opinion, to have an idea of what the rental market is. And that's what we're going to talk about in this particular segment. We're going to talk about rentals. Now, as mentioned in the intro to this podcast, rental information is extremely sketchy. Why is that? Because most of the properties that are for rent, they're not actually listed in multiple listing. Why? Because commissions are not being paid. Why would a group that owns a 100, 200, 300 unit complex, why would they want to pay a commission where in South Florida, average commission on a rental, it comes in or it's asked for by the listing agent, is going to be about 10% of the gross annual rent, 10%. So you take $1,000 a month, you multiply it by 12, you're going to come up with $12,000 in rent. Now take 10% of that as a commission, which will be split by the broker who works representing the landlord, and as well as the broker representing the particular renter. Many groups, especially with large concentrations of units, they would prefer to hire one or two people, give them $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, put them in a leasing office, let these people go ahead and handle everything, because the cost savings will be tremendous rather than paying a 10% commission on gross annual rents on 100 units, 200 units, 300 units. So that, generally speaking, is what goes on. And because the realtor's not involved, therefore the information is not in the multiple listings. So rental information is very sketchy, but let me tell you what's going on in the rental market. We're using the MLS simply because it's easy, and it's consistent. However, when you look at the rental data, it's important to keep in mind that people are looking to rent properties at a variety of different time spans. Some rent them by the night, some rent by the week, some rent by the month, some rent by the year. So rather than go ahead and try to come up with statistics based on apples to apples, like only those that are rented per year, what we do is we bypass the average number, which is what we use for the other previous segments, and we focus on median. What is median? Median is a number simply in the middle. Because rental data is so sketchy, median is probably more than apt in terms of trying to understand what's going on in the marketplace, and that's what we're going to do. So all the statistics we're referring to here are going to be median. How many places are for rent in Bal Harbour-Surfside-Bay Harbor Islands right now? 205. What are these places? Effectively anything except a single family house. Anything except a single family house. What will that be? That'll be an apartment, a condo, efficiency, multifamily, as well as a townhouse. Again, everything except single family. So 205 are on the market today for rent. The median asking price for these properties, just about $6,500 per month, 6,500. What is that on a price per square foot basis monthly? $4.67 a square foot per month, 4.67. How many days have they been on the market? 59. For the longest time, especially during the pandemic, places would go on the market for a day, 2 days, a week. Now we're looking at, in Bal Harbour-Surfside-Bay Harbor Island, 59 days, 2 months and counting. And these places haven't even become pending yet. So pending is when you go under contract. How many are pending at this point? 20 pending rentals. The median asking price for the properties that are under contract, $3,050 a month, $3,050 per month. How much is on a price per square foot basis? $4.11, 4.11 per square foot monthly. And how many days have they been listed as well as under contract combined? 33 days. So you can see there's a difference there. Those properties that are available today for rent 59 days, but the ones that are under contract, they've been there only 33 days, roughly half. Now, what about those properties that actually lease in the first 9 months of the year? 334 properties were leased first 9 months of 2022. And what was the median transaction price per month? $3,875 per month. What is that on a price per square foot basis? $3.31 a square foot per month, $3.31 per square foot per month. And they were listed, they were pending, and they would transact it in a grand total of 32 days. Now contrast that to the properties that are on the market today, 59 days. So you can see there's some sort of price dislocation or disconnection that's occurring where renters are not willing to pay the prices that landlords are seeking. And what's going on in terms of the spread or the premium being sought by landlords today versus the median transaction price in the overall marketplace, it's about 68% spread. A reminder, 20% spread is typically when you'll start to see people nibbling to come in and lease a place. And typically the lease will get done about 8 to 12% difference between the median asking price and the median transaction price in the building. What is it price per square foot monthly? 41% spread, 41% spread. Now, how many places were rented per month in Bal Harbour-Surfside-Bay Harbor Island, first 9 months of the year? About 37. How did I come up with that number? I took 334 leases. I divided it by 9, which is the period of time that came into play. And I come up with 37 leases a month. If I take that 37 leases per month leasing pace, divided what's on the market today, which is 205 properties, I'm going to come up with 5.5 months of supply, 5.5 months of supply. So 6 months is equilibrium. Anything more than 6 months is going to be a renter's or tenant's market. Anything less is a landlord's market. You can see that the rental market in Bal Harbour-Surfside-Bay Harbor Island is moving very close towards equilibrium. And chances are, once we get past this winter buying season, which typically goes from November and or Thanksgiving in the United States up through April, typically pegged to Passover or Easter. Once we get out of that time when the weather is fantastic and we move into the hot and humid days of hurricane season, you're going to see that rental demand probably fall off the map. So I would suggest to you, as we look at the rental data, Bal Harbour-Surfside-Bay Harbor Island, from a rental perspective, as well as a condo perspective, especially luxury, it looks like it's really becoming a soft market going forward. So don't be surprised to see some real downward pressure on this particular market as we go forward. So let me remind you, if you want to watch this podcast, rather than simply listen to it, go to any platform that provides for video. It could be something like Spotify. If you want to watch us on YouTube, our handle is going to be Condo Vultures TV. If you want to check out the charts that I'm referring to, you can go to condovulturesrealty.com, condovulturesrealty.com, or you can go to the description of this particular podcast. So we're going to provide links for all of that information. And if you actually watch the video podcast, you're going to be able to see the charts, which are going to be embedded in our video. And then finally, if you have any questions for us, please send an email to inquiry@condovultures.com, IQUIRY@condovultures.com. Until next time, thanks for tuning in. I'm Peter Zalewski of Condo Vultures. We'll catch up very soon. Take care of yourself. Ciao, ciao.